This is News Today, and my name is Kemini Nyamani. I'm on our first story. The Polytechnic Teachers Association of Ghana is surprised at the National Labour Commission for calling off a planned meeting to discuss issues relating to their strike. It has accused the NLC of not being interested in resolving the issue. An Accra Human Rights Court on Monday ruled that the 2-month strike action by the Polytechnic Teachers Association of Ghana is legal.
The issue is that categorically the court was indicating that it compelled the National Labour Commission to trigger an arbitration, compulsory arbitration between POTAC and then the National Labour Commission. I think that was it. And the court set aside their motion to direct us to call off the strike. And the court indicated that the National Labour Commission didn't follow the due process, so it was not lawful for them to enforce that law.
So what now? We know that POTAC after that court ruling also held some sort of a meeting to discuss the way forward. What are we going to see now? Are you calling off your strike anytime soon?
Yeah, this question is repeated and repeated, but I don't know whether you have attempted to also ask government when they are going to pay the money. You know, paying the money, the date of paying the money will, dictate to when we are going to call off the strike.
Now, the difficulty is the fact that the National Labour Commission is refusing to speak to us at the moment. But we could find out from you if any form of negotiations have been renewed.
No, yesterday we were invited, and you can imagine the speed at which we were invited, but because we are law-abiding society association, we went there. We know the court ruled on the 14th, and on the 15th, National Labour Commission wrote to us and inviting us to the compulsory arbitration on the 15th. And you know very well that all the polytechnics in the country don't reside in Accra, and you give an invitation, and even it was a subpoena, and you indicated that we should come the following day. You can see how unnatural such things are, but we managed to be there yesterday. And we were in the parlor for some time. Later on, they came and told us that the meeting or the arbitration session has been cancelled. So we asked them when the gentleman who came to relay the information said that he was not in any position to tell us when they are going to call us again. So we were in a limbo, and we have to disperse.
I see. And so what does this mean for the process of arbitration as far as POTAC is concerned? Because this is not the first time, according to POTAC, this has been done to you.
Hello?
I'm asking, what does this mean for the process or the resumption of talks between the NLC and POTAC?
Well, I cannot best tell because I'm not a legal brain. So we have to go back to our lawyer to seek the necessary legal advice.
And well, it's a shame the National Labour Commission is refusing to react to some of these statements made. Now, the Driver and Vehicle Licensing Authority served notice it will, effective September 2014, not register new vehicles meant for public passenger service which are without seat belts fitted to each seat. Besides, the DVLA will, from March 2015, not renew the roadworthiness of commercial vehicles which do not have seat belts fitted to each seat. Acting Chief Executive of DVLA, Rudolph Beckley, told my colleague Mamavia Uso-Abuaji on the AM show that the decision not to register commercial vehicles without seat belts was in conformity with Section 119 of the Road Traffic Regulation Legislative Instrument 2180.
If you look at the LI 2180 that was passed by Parliament in 2012, Section 119 prescribes that every vehicle that is delivered onto the road must have seat belts in them for the safety of the occupants of the vehicle. In order to actualize or implement that requirement under the law, the DVLA has come up with some measures and directives. And then the framework we have developed for the implementation of the seat belt is in 2 phases. The first phase talks about vehicles, new vehicles that are due for registration and that do not have seatbelts. By 1st of September 2014, the DVLA will not register new vehicles meant for passenger transport and that do not have seatbelts on each of the seats. That is the first phase. Now, the second phase will also look at commercial vehicles that are already within the fleet and that do not have seatbelts, we are given a deadline of March ending. But before we get to the deadline, what we are doing is that the DVLA is currently in the process of procuring seatbelts, and then the procurement of the seatbelts will also include what we call installation training. We are also in the process of identifying garages who will be provided the training to be able to fit these seatbelts in commercial vehicles. So therefore, we are looking at all these things to be done by the month of March, so that by March, commercial vehicles already within the fleet or already operating will begin fitting their seatbelts from March. Then I'm talking about the 1st of September being for vehicles that are new, that are due for registration, and that do not have seatbelts. They will be fitted with seatbelts, or they would have to be registered with seatbelts by the 1st of September. So therefore, the framework is in two phases. And we have also spoken to the motor firms to comply with this directive, that when they are importing vehicles meant for public passenger transport, the minimum safety requirements, which of course includes seatbelts, must be part of the vehicle before it's sold to the public.
But are you aware, sir, that some of the vehicles indeed get registered even without going to the DVLA offices?
The law requires that for you to register a vehicle, you must physically present the vehicle before it is registered. And therefore, I can assure you that every vehicle we register in this country is physically presented to the DVLA before we register the vehicle. Because the documentations you have to fill on the vehicle, we need to look at the vehicle, the chassis number, the color of the vehicle, put in all our documents before we proceed to register. So if the vehicle is not physically presented, we may not be able to even look at the color or determine the other features that are equally important in terms of the documentation of the vehicle.
Let's talk about this now over the next few minutes. Nana Akwada is Executive Director for the Bureau of Public Safety. He's here with me in the studio. Nana, what do you think about this?
Well, I think it's a laudable idea. It's a very good idea because for us at the Bureau, we think it's long overdue. But here again, it's important that we also begin to look at the other side of the state agency that's going to enforce this law, because the DVLA can ensure that there are indeed seat belts, fitted on all these commercial vehicles. But the wearing, the actual strapping on the seat belt is somebody else's job to see to it that it is done. And that is where we have an issue, because as a country, we are looking at in excess of 2,000 deaths in a year coming from road accidents. That's like 10 of Boeing 747s going missing or crashing to the ground. We are now dealing with Malaysian aircraft, MH370. We are still thinking about it. We in this country, in a year, 10 of that gets missing with human beings. And so we need to do something more radical. I'll be happy if, say, the DVLA teams up with the MTTD of the police unit to enforce this and enforce it to the latter. This shouldn't be one of those laws that we promulgate and they come to sit on our booths and everybody else knows that this has to be done and yet nobody is enforcing it.
I'm happy you mentioned enforcement. And then again, it comes up to the point where we say a lot of these things and we don't do them. So how should these agencies work together to make sure that indeed the passenger who sits in the car, I'm kind of finding that very impossible to do. You make sure that the car is going to have a seat belt, but making sure that the passenger puts it on.
Okay, I'll just draw your attention to this. First of all, Rudolph Beckley, the acting director now DVLA, I know him, I've met him before. He's a hands-on guy and I have no doubt that he's going to perform. What we encourage him to do, I believe by now he's considered it, is to team up with the MTTD. If possible, establish a portal that we can keep offenders on this line. Once you begin to track offenders and their offenses over time, and they begin to pay for violating such laws at the time of renewal of their license or anything, as is done elsewhere, people will begin to set up right over across the street to Nigeria. If there are some offenses that if you are caught in, you are immediately sent for a psychological evaluation. It is reflected on your records everywhere that you go. And so I believe that when these things are happening, we keep talking about attitude, and nobody is really doing anything about it. But if from the time that this law becomes operational, people or violators are, are compelled to take some form of psychological, go under form of psychological evaluation, or to take some compulsory courses, or their certain points are deducted from their status, their license status, and these things are converted into money and charge them at the time when they are renewing their licenses, renewing their road certificates and all. I think that people will begin to listen or look to the law. It's very important that as a nation we go in this direction where all the teams or all the state agencies work in unison. There should be a reference point for the DVLA, the police service and insurance companies, because we cannot continue in the manner in which we are going with those scary statistics.
Are timelines feasible? We are looking at about 2 months from now for that to be properly and wholly enforced. Is that feasible? Absolutely should be feasible. I don't know what it takes to ensure that a car that is coming in and going to be used for passenger transport is fitted with a seatbelt. I think they've said that from September they are going to look at the new cars that are going to be licensed as commercial vehicles, and then sometime next year, they will enforce that all the old ones in the system also fit it. I think that is feasible. Our problem, however, is the enforcement of this law. If a car is arrested and then the driver of the car is fined and then the offending passenger is also fined, I believe that we will go somewhere. When you take our system now, a lot of drivers wait when they get to a police checkpoint. That's when they strap on their seatbelt. And then people who sit at the back of the car feel as though they don't need a seatbelt. It's only the one who sits in the front and the passenger seats in the front.
Yes, the interesting thing is that I kept saying it's education and education. You could be in a passenger vehicle. You could be strapped all right. But if the person behind you is not strapped and there's an impact, he's going to fly all the way to you. When his head runs into your head, that is serious head trauma. It can even give you permanent brain damages or death. So it's important that we are coming into this, and we have to be watching our backs all the time. Make sure that everyone around you is strapped down. It's very important.
Including our children.
Yes, including our children.
Some parents make their children stand behind in the car.
Some even sit on their laps and all. Yes, all these things we are looking forward that the police themselves require some education in this manner, maybe legal and enforcement aspect, because sometimes they approach you and they have this small pocketbook is in their back pocket, and they will approach you with it. They read only a portion and keep it. Passengers don't know all of these things, that all these things constitute offenses. Whatever you do behind the steering wheel that may impact negatively on the next motorist is an offense.
And so this education, what form should it take? Because a lot of times we hear of education, we see just a bit of it, and then before you know, people are back to doing the wrong things.
Well, I think that as a nation we are blessed with the mass media. We could start from the mass media. We could go to the lorry stations, educate the drivers. First of all, it's important that we put the drivers in a classroom, a serene environment, demonstrate to them scientifically how
they would want to go and make money.
Yes, but it's very important. You must pass this class to sit and drive passengers. It's very important because money is not everything. Demonstrate to them how, if a vehicle crashes or there's a collision, what happens in the members of the car and the passengers, what happens to them. Once they see these demonstrations, at least we can start from there. Then the passengers, flyers and things at the lorry stations, it will do as well. We believe that we can get there as a nation. We are just a nation of 25 million people.
Just about the size of Lagos.
Yes, and if you go to places like China, where one province is about 80 million, 70 million, and they have order. 25 million people shouldn't be difficult for us as a nation.
And that also means that the NRC, the National Road Safety Commission, has got a lot of work to do. And I just want us to listen briefly to what they intend to do to make sure that this practice is adhered to.
The roads, especially when there's traffic?
Yes, we are aware, and the law is even there against driving on the shoulders.
But you see, we see a lot of things in the book.
Yeah.
But the things that happen on the ground.
It's supposed to be enforced, but the thing is, the police who are supposed to enforce these laws, how many are they to line up the whole stretch of roads in Accra or the country? So I think that we should, as Ghanaians, we should be able to just respond.
But there's a lot of indiscipline, you know, these days.
So do we have to expect the police to be there before we obey the laws of this country?
Sometimes it's not like there's traffic, but it's just the indiscipline that's causing the traffic. Let one policeman come and then you see that there's order.
So
do we always need...
Why should we be such people?
Does it mean that perhaps you're not doing something right?
If they know that they are not supposed to do it, why are they not doing it when they see the police? It means they know, they have the idea, they know that they are not supposed to do it. So we are getting the message out there. They are hearing it.
But it's your duty to change. It's your duty to change the minds, the mentality.
The thing is, that's attitude. That's attitude. Your attitude. You have to change your attitude. You have to change your attitude. I'll provide the information for you. I'll provide education for you. You have to change the attitude.
Closer to the action than most of us. What do you think is the problem with us?
Oh, I think we are human. We have.
So it's just attitude.
We have varied background in terms of upbringing and whether it's geographic or what have you, and it was ethnic, religion and what have you. But and even education and all that. Generally, we think that to ensure and maximize compliance of road law. Rules and regulations on the road. We think that we need a combination of certain things before we can achieve that.
Right, we'll talk about we'll maintain our conversation on road safety. Nana Akwada is Executive Director for the Bureau of Public Safety, and so then it boils down to the individual.
Yes. We have said, whilst we're offset, that safety is a shared responsibility and it will forever remain like that. For MTTD to say is attitudinal, for us at the Bureau of Public Safety, we can't accept that, because when people know that they can get away with violations, they will get away with it. In Europe, if they know that they can get away with jumping red lights, they will jump the red lights. When we are driving on the motorway at the rush hour, and I know that by driving on the shoulders, I will get away with the violation, I will drive on the shoulder because I need to get to work on time. But when the officer I saw on TV, I've seen him a couple of times himself there on the motorway, when they know that the police is standing there, they don't dare. They don't dare. You understand? So that I think we should be able to. It's easier to say it's attitudinal, but the truth is that it's a joint effort. The police must be there to do what they are paid to do, and people who violate the law or violate the rules must be sanctioned heavily. Then we can have some sanity in the system. I mean, we didn't want to talk about this, but if you look at the kind of indiscipline on the motorway, it's disheartening. It's just you can't believe that it's a country where we have laws. So that's the point.
And we'll leave that for another conversation.
Yes, most probably.
Thank you very much, Nana. Nana Akwada is Executive Director for the Bureau of Public Safety. Let's talk about Nelson Mandela. Friday, July 18 is Nelson Mandela International Day. Ahead of the day, Joy News has been finding out what people on the streets of Accra know about the day and its significance.
In November 2009, the UN General Assembly declared 18th July Nelson Mandela International Day. The day is in recognition of the former South African president's contribution to the culture of peace and freedom in Africa and the world at large. As part of events to mark the day, the Nelson Mandela Foundation is asking the world to devote 67 minutes of time to helping others. This is symbolic of the 67 years Nelson Mandela devoted to the service of humanity. Ahead of the day, Joy News finds out what people on the streets of Accra know about this day.
Yeah, I don't know anything about it. Like, I don't know the actual day as for Nelson Mandela.
I know that he is somebody who spent a lot of his time to, for the independence of his people in South Africa. And then we are just here to remember him for the good work that he did for humanity.
Nelson Mandela Day, I actually haven't heard of it before. Yeah, I haven't heard of it. I don't even know they have a day for him. Maybe I think to remember him of certain things he did during his lifetime, like fighting for the people of South Africa and Africa as a whole.
Some people Joy News spoke to, however, say they will undertake some form of humanitarian act on the day.
I'm thinking of some community service, possibly, and maybe I like teaching maths, so maybe I'll consider teaching the students in my area to improve their math skills, possibly.
I think I'll take that day to visit orphanages because I love children, so to visit orphanages and see kids, talk to kids, encourage kids.
The most important thing is to brighten the corner where you are, wherever you find yourself. So as we relive some of the principles or some of the virtues, we want to be very outspoken. We want to live the interest of others in society, especially the downtrodden. And so basically, as we think about him, and we also think about the little we can do to put smiles on the faces of those who are downtrodden in society or the less privileged in society.
So, what will you be doing in 67 minutes on Nelson Mandela Day this Friday? For Joy News, Kwabna Chenchehine Boating.
I'll bring you some business stories when I come back here on News Today. Don't go away. So what's trending in business? Second Deputy Governor of the Bank of Ghana, Dr. Abdul Nasir Sahaku, has announced a deepening of his risk-based approach to supervision by developing guidelines and regulations for the industry. It says the decision has become necessary in the face of growing challenges in the macroeconomy. At the 14th annual working luncheon of the Ghana Association of Bankers, he assured the central bank is working assiduously to stabilize the economic pressures in the banking sector.
After completing the December 2012 deadline for compliance with the 60 million Ghana cedis regulatory capital for banks, the Bank of Ghana in 2013 further revised upward the capital requirements for new entrants while encouraging existing institutions to beef up their capital position in this regard. Minimum paid-up capital for banks has been revised to 120 million Ghana cedis. I'm just emphasizing Ghana cedis. Similarly, the capital requirements for non-bank financial institutions now stands at 15 million Ghana cedis, up from 7 million Ghana cedis, while the minimum capital for rural banks has been perked at 300,000 Ghana cedis. In the microfinance sector, investors now require 500,000 Ghana cedis and 300,000 Ghana cedis to obtain a Tier 2 and Tier 3 microfinance company license, respectively. However, in the very near future, the capital requirements of banks would be assessed on the strength of their internal capital adequacy assessment process.
He regretted pressures on the local currency still persists, although there is some moderation in the pace of depreciation of the currency. He explains the pressures are a major concern due to the adverse consequences of the depreciation on the economy. He adds the Bank of Ghana anticipates the proceeds from the cocoa syndicated loan and the Eurobond estimated at almost $3 billion would provide significant support for the markets in the second half of the year. The onset of gas production in the fourth quarter of the year, he mentions, is anticipated to also reduce oil imports.
Now, you remember the group Concerned Ghanaians for Responsible Governance, the group responsible for the Occupy Flagstaff House. They're in the news again. This time they're asking the government to publish a breakdown of all levies paid per litre of fuel for the sake of transparency. This group has announced its second week of a Red Friday campaign and will discuss the 23% increment in fuel price by the National Petroleum Authority. A statement issued by the CGRG and signed by its Executive Secretary, George Ante, attributed the damaging price hike to the mismanagement of both the monetary and fiscal environments, principally by the Mahama administration. The group is therefore urging all hard-working traders, commercial drivers and the general public to consider hanging a red item in a prominent place in your shop or hang an item in red visibly on your vehicles. We'll move on to Kumasi, where some members of the Swami Spare Parts Dealers Association this week locked up shops belonging to Nigerian retailers at Swami Magazine. The group went round to Swami Magazine Traders Enclave asking the Nigerian traders to vacate their shops. The police subsequently went and broke locks to reopen these shops. Meanwhile, the national president of the Ghana Union of Traders Association, George Kweku Othori, has accused the police of protecting foreigners in retail business and endorsing what their members did in Swami Magazine.
Again?
I'm asking, what is Guta going to do about your members who flouted the laws of the land?
Guta members have not flouted any laws.
I see.
At all. It is the foreigners who have rather flouted the laws. And for that matter, the law enforcement service or the police service should have rather enforced that law rather than asking our people to go and open the shop, or they going forcibly to open the shop for the foreigners. In any case, are they telling us that now if you see somebody in a criminal act, if you could arrest the person, you have to go to the police station to lodge a complaint for the police to come and arrest the person? What about if you come and the person is not there? What happens? So this is just what the police are doing. Instead of being rather apprehending and rather enforcing the Ghana Investment Promotion Center Act, they are rather frustrating the Ghanaians to the extent that for us, our belief is that they are rather shielding or protecting the foreigners as against their own Ghanaians. And that is where Guta sometimes have a problem.
Meanwhile, Mohammed Yusuf Tanko, Ashanti Regional Police PR, said the police was only protecting lives and property if the complaints were lodged with them.
This is an issue which has been pertaining for some time. And I know some time back the regional minister instituted a commission to look into it. The Guta people were not happy because they said it was delaying. We urged them to be patient and wait till the government intervention was due. Then all of a sudden they went to lock up the shops. Yes, for now we are not considering arresting them and prosecuting them because we think there is some sanity now. We have our men who are overseeing the place to ensure that there is law and order.
But ASP, are the Nigerians willing to press charges?
The Nigerians want to hear something from government because when the issue came up, we invited them also and they came to tell their side of the story. So they are very patient waiting. And when the Guta members went to lock up their shops, they came to the police and reported because they wanted the case or the issue to be resolved according to the laws of the land. And we assured them that we were going to take steps to ensure that they are not taken through any difficult situation. And that is what we did. And we think for now they are also satisfied that they are able to go about their normal activities.
For business, there is sports news after this.
Good afternoon. Welcome to Sports here on News Today. With me, Benedict Osi. The sports segment here is probably brought to you by Cowbell. In our very first story, Minister of Youth and Sports, Mahama Ayariga, says he will start immediate consultations with stakeholders to ensure the Azuma Nelson Sports Complex, also known as the Kanishi Sports Complex here in Accra, receives a major facelift. Touring the facility this morning, Minister of Youth and Sports, Mahama Ayariga, was saddened by the neglect of the facility and pledged he will do all he can to ensure the facility is back to its glorious past. The stadium was originally built during the era of the Supreme Military Council under General Echampon in the 1970s. The stadium has a capacity of 10,000 spectators.
Well, it's unfortunate that we have allowed such a very precious facility to deteriorate to this extent. And President John Dramani Mahama, as one of the measures to reduce our health bill, has been advocating for a general culture of physical fitness as a method of reducing non-communicable diseases. And so when you have infrastructure like this in densely populated residential areas, it is important for us to bring it up to standard and then encourage people in the neighborhood to use it for exercising every morning and generally staying fit and healthy. And in addition, the football pitches here could be developed for the various football teams in this part of the city to be using for training and preparing themselves for tournaments. And so I would work very closely with the head of the National Youth Authority to immediately take steps to develop the place. I don't believe that this is a very difficult task. It's just a question of being committed and working hard. Immediately, what I will do is to invite the engineering regiment of the Ghana Armed Forces for us to have a discussion about how to use their facilities and expeditiously upgrade the standards of this facility. I think that this can be done in a very short period of time because we will soon be launching a major national fitness campaign where we will encourage every community to have a Keep Fit club. Every district, every region, and at a national level, we will promote Keep Fit competitions. We are in discussions with the Defense Ministry, the Interior Ministry, and the Ministry of Education to use their physical fitness instructors across the country to provide a great resource to communities so that we can generate a general culture of exercising and staying physically fit.
So the next story is here. So that was a new sports, youth and sports minister, Honorable Mahama Ayariga, touring the Kanishi Sports Complex here in Accra, the Azuma Nelson Sports Complex, as it's also known. Then, you know, we do some more stories, and the rivalry between two of Ghana's oldest schools at the Sidel College and Infantipim School is about to play out in all over the games, and this will happen during the annual Fun Day games involving the two schools and their sister schools. Organizers hope to, you know, raise enough funds to undertake various projects in their alma maters.
The Adisadel Infantipim Fun Day Games will bring together all students from the two schools as well as old students from Wesley Girls Senior High School, Infantiman Senior High School and Holy Child High School, all in the Central Region. Co-chairman of the planning committee, Kojo Morgan, says the event presents an opportunity for networking and relaxation apart from raising funds for their former schools.
All students, apart from reconnecting, so many of them are into business, into all kinds of, endeavors. And of course, meeting your friend, there's that connection and a lot of things can happen. Apart from that, like I said earlier on, we're raising funds. We're trying to, you know the situation. Our schools depend a lot on us as old students, and we have various avenues. We sometimes depend on only year groups. But in this case, we are having a big partnership, two schools coming together.
Football coach and analyst Coach Opele Boateng, an old student of Adisadel College, praised the motive behind the organization of the event and called on all old students of the participating schools to patronize the event. The event, also called Santa Mobile Games, will take place on the 30th of August at the Elwak Sports Stadium.
I'd like to tell them not to miss the occasion, because 30th of August will be the day they will have to come so that they will know where each and everyone is. We can help ourselves. Even corporate Ghana also joining us, it will also help them. It will help their image and people will hear about them. And I don't think on that day it's going to be only the two schools. A lot of schools will love to come in because it's a traditional thing, and so it's going to be a big one.
Okay, so let's do some other stories now. In the first FIFA rankings after the World Cup that was in Brazil 2014, has Ghana positioned 38th after dropping one place from the previous June ranking. Ghana, who exited the World Cup in the first round, co-shared. And Ghana may be in danger of attracting the wrath of World Football Governing Body FIFA following government's establishment of a commission of inquiry into events leading to the country's shambolic performance at the just-ended World Cup in Brazil. The new Crusading Guide has in its possession a 3-paragraph letter from FIFA questioning the Ghana Football Association on the composition and competences of the commission set up by government. The letter, signed by Deputy General Secretary of FIFA, Marcus Cardinal Reed, reports that the Presidency of the Republic of Ghana has appointed a committee of inquiry and investigation into the Black Stars' participation to the 2014 FIFA World Cup in Brazil. The composition and the competences of the said commission are unclear. Provided the reports are true, we deem it important to clarify from the beginning the procedures and
Well, the nation's biggest gospel event, the Airtel Adum Praise, is just 2 weeks away, and some of the Ghanaian-based artists or the Ghana-based artists on the bill are promising patrons a great time of worship. Meanwhile, headline sponsor Airtel Ghana is also promising a surprise for all who attend this particular event.
The Perez Chapel at Jowlu will once again play host to the Airtel Adum Praise, an event which has become a master tent for many, particularly Christians. Two multiple award-winning foreign gospel artists, CeCe Winers and Israel Houghton, will be joined by a stellar lineup of Ghanaian gospel musicians: No Tribe, Cecilia Mafo, Daughters of Glorious Jesus, Joe Mettle and Joyce Blessing. Ahead of the big day, though, some of the locally based musicians have started making appearances on our sister station, Adum FM. Lead vocalist for the Daughters of Glorious Jesus, Cynthia, was joined by staff of Airtel on the Adum live worship program earlier today. MD of Airtel Ghana, Mercy Quist, says the event will offer patrons an opportunity to pray and praise God.
So we look forward to seeing everybody on the 2nd of August. We come together collectively to pray and praise and to really put our hearts out there. I'm looking forward to it. I hope you are looking forward to it. And I know all my people are looking forward to it.
The Airtel Adum Praise is slated for Saturday, August 2nd, and tickets are expected to be on sale shortly.
Here are our top stories here on News Today. The Polytechnic Teachers Association of Ghana expresses disappointment at the National Labour Commission for calling off a planned meeting to discuss issues of the strike at the 11th hour. Sports Minister Mahama Yariga assures he will do all he can to rehabilitate. You can find more news on myjoyonline.com. Thank you very much for your company through the year. My name is Kimini Nyamani Amano.